Hi, welcome to Local Flavor. I'm Deborah Anderson and we're here in Moreland at Aunt Faye's Community Kitchen. And today I'm gonna do something that I've actually planned to do probably for 9 years. And it was about 9 years ago that my friends Cindy and Georgia showed me this book about how to make artisan bread in 5 minutes a day. And what I loved about it was that they made it so easy, and bread is usually so fussy and has a lot of steps, and they're like, don't worry about this. Don't worry about what kind of yeast it is. So worry-free and no kneading at all. So I got to where there's an olive oil dough in here, and I was using it to make pizzas all the time. And then right before I was gonna actually make it, I was actually having some of that pizza and I had a freak accident with some dental work, and so it almost like put me off of this for a long time. So I'm back to it though, and we're actually going to do the artisan bread in this. It has some other recipes too, but we're going to do the artisan bread because with it we can make a pretty round dough, or we can make a baguette, and that's our family's favorite. So we'll make both kinds. With this, you make a big, it says 5 minutes a day. It's actually, the first day is a little bit more than 5 minutes, but after that, it's just a matter of shaping it, letting it rise, and baking it for a little while. The 5 minutes is your actual time of touching the dough, and I would say it's less than that once you've got it all done. So, very easy. This dough takes about 4 hours to rise unless you use lukewarm water. And in that case, it takes only about 2 hours. So I'm gonna try and use warm water. And I need about 3 cups of water. So I'm just getting it out of the tap warm, and then I will test it because I've burned several yeast in my life. It will kill them if it's too hot. Ooh, it's 61 degrees in here. That was the air temp. So I'm using a little digital thermometer to watch what the temperature is. I don't want it to be over 100. I might not be hot enough. Yeah, it's starting to go down. It was only at 89, so the hot water here does take a while to warm up. I don't know where the hot water heater is, but it must be a ways. There we go. Better. I've got it to about 93, and it's warm to the touch, so we'll use that. If it has to raise a little longer, we'll make it happen. Now, at home, I usually stir this by hand in my dough keeper, and I keep the dough in this giant bucket because it actually does fit in my fridge. And I do it right in there, but I thought you guys would get tired of the whining, and so I didn't. I'm doing it with the dough hook today. I need about 1.5 tablespoons of coarse salt. If you use a finer salt, that's okay, but use a little less because there's less room for air in between. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this to 1.5 tablespoons. And I also need 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. And it doesn't matter what kind of yeast. I happen to use Quick Rise because that's what Doyle picked up at the store. But it really doesn't matter. Any kind of yeast will work as long as it's not expired. And with this recipe, they don't ask you to proof the yeast because they said in all their years of doing it, the only time they've had a failure was with expired yeast. So we're not going to proof it. We're just going to get started. I'm going to mix it in just a little bit, and then it takes 6.5 cups of salt. And I want to put, that yeast already smells really good. Wow, that makes me want a beer, actually. It smells kind of like beer. So for the flour, I'm not going to pack it in. I want it loosely packed in there, and I'm going to kind of scoop it into there and then sweep it off with a knife for 6.5 cups. And I'm going to put it all in at once. I think the reason that they want you to do that is because especially if you're using your hand, you kind of give up and think, oh, that's enough, because it gets harder to stir. It does get hard. I don't know. My arms are not that strong. But you don't need to stir it very long, just until it's about evenly wet. Oh, help me count. That's 2. Somebody keep count. Okay. And so there's no dry spots in it. Now this makes enough dough. This is a lot of flour. It makes enough that you can have it 4 or 5 times in the week. And you can keep the dough in the fridge up to 2 weeks. A lot of times you put things in really slowly, but this is all at once. Now when we make the loaves, one of them you put a gluten cloak on, and the other one we brush it with water. That's the baguette. There's a lot of flour. Oh, it really, in the book says never use bleached flour. It doesn't matter what kind, really, except for not bleached. But I thought, you know, they're so lax on the other rules. I am so tired of buying thousands of different types of flour, so I just use bleached flour, and I always do. So if you make it with unbleached, I bet yours turns out better. But I just use what I got on hand. If your grocery store closes when ours does. Usually we're not cooking until after it's already closed. So we're always making do. This one's a 1/4 cup, so I'm going to use it twice for my last 1/2 cup. And I don't want to pack it down. Also, you don't want it packed down, so don't use, I know at my house I have a 2-cup measuring cup that's really handy when you're making big batches, but it might pack it down too much if you have that weight in there, in the 2 cups. So just use the 1 cup measuring. Okay, I am gonna mix this with the mixer on low speed just until everything's wet. This is a 5-quart mixer, so the container that you want it to raise in should be 5 quarts or bigger. This one's about 8 quarts. It's actually too big. I should get a better one. I have risen it in this and left it in this in the fridge. I just don't like the shape of it very much. And this says 5 quart, but if you pour quarts into it, it's really only a little over 4 quarts. Of course, if you use your bread the instant it's done, some people don't use it until it's been refrigerated overnight. It's easier to shape the loaf if you refrigerate it about 3 hours at least, but you can use it as soon as it's done rising. Now we're going to give it at least 2 hours to rise with this warmer water, but if you leave it longer, that's okay. So you could make it at lunch, go to work, you can leave it out for up to 5 hours and it won't change the result. Okay, I think that is mixed well enough. Now this is a very, very sticky one. You know what, maybe we'll just raise it in here and I won't put it in my green one so I don't have to get it all over my hands. But it's a very sticky dough. So let's just let it raise in here. It's better if you have a lid, but not a tight fitting lid because you don't want it to explode with the yeast. But if this fits over it, yeah, this will fit good enough because we don't want it to be sealed. We just want it to be covered. So I'm just going to leave it in here, kind of cheat. And I'll move it when we need to use this bowl again. Okay, let's take a short break while I get this set to rising. And when we come back, we'll be ready to form our first loaf.
Some mobile phone providers think they can just take. They'll all take an arm and a leg for a new phone. Got it. And look out if you go over your data limit.
I didn't see that coming.
Unlimited data plans as low as $20 per line. Come into any of our stores for a free, upfront, and honest consultation about your data and wireless needs. Nex-Tech Wireless, the carrier you trust.
Your home's exterior is the best defense against harsh weather conditions. With insulated vinyl siding, energy-efficient windows, spray foam insulation, and metal roofing from AquaShield Roofing and Construction, you can protect your home from howling winds and ice-cold temperatures. Don't let Mother Nature interfere with the comfort of your home. Call or visit us online today for a free estimate. AquaShield Roofing and Construction. Our team is dedicated to your complete satisfaction.
Come on down to Bees Bargains in Smith Center, Kansas. We got the deals.
We have a wide variety of inventory like soap, toiletries, toys, mini fridges, even kitchen tables.
Everything is new at Bees Bargains, but it's all half the price. Yes, half price. That isn't just a good deal, that's a great deal.
And with new items daily, our inventory is constantly changing. That means new great deals are coming in by the truckload weekly.
Bees Bargains in Smith Center. If you can't find a deal here, you can't find one anywhere.
It has been about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and our bread has, look at that, if you can see through there, it's about doubled in size, and it smells awesome. I don't have a pizza peel. Most people would do this on a pizza peel with a little bit of cornmeal. I also don't really care for cornmeal under my bread, but I just used some flour on it, just a light dusting of flour. I'm gonna put what we call a gluten cloak on my dough here. I'm just going to sprinkle some flour on top, mainly so it doesn't stick when I go in there to get some. I'm going to use my hands. I usually get a serving that's about the size of a grapefruit every time. So pull that up. It's already sticking. And I want to stretch the top around and tuck it under. And I'm just going to keep touching flour so that I don't get stuck. And this is going to be my artisan bread. So once I get this one rounded, this really shouldn't take you more than a minute. Once I get this one rounded, it needs to raise for 40 minutes at least. No, about 40 minutes. And you don't need to cover it to raise right now. I'm also going to prepare our baguette. Although it doesn't need to raise as long, I'll still go, oh, I should have done the gluten cloak. I forgot my gluten cloak. Gross. I'll start out with the same shape for my baguette. So still stretching and turning underneath. I like this because you don't have to knead it, you just get with it. Now there's that. I have a little bit of flour here too. And then I'm going to start rolling it out. It needs to raise about 20 minutes. And I'm going to just kind of squeeze it out until it's about 2 inches thick. Now after this has raised, this one will put more flour on it and slash it, and this one will put water on it and slash it. But we'll do that once it's started to raise. If this gets too long, I'll just go ahead and finish it on. Even if it looks like a messed up mess on the bottom, it'll all come together. It's okay. If it gets too long, you can cut it in half and have 2 little ones. I might have grabbed a pretty small amount. But a baguette is French. I love it for dipping into oils and stuff. Not great for sandwiches. You could. Great for garlic toast, for reals. So we'll let this one be for about 20 minutes and this one be for about 40, and then we'll come back and get them ready to put in the oven. This one will cook about 25 minutes and this one will cook about 20 and 25. Okay.
Make a difficult choice an easy one with Cedar View Assisted Living's knowledgeable and caring staff. Your loved one will be professionally taken care of as they transition into their new community. With movies, holiday parties, planned exercises, and games, residents will have opportunities every day to enjoy their time at Cedar View. Multiple room styles are available, ensuring a just right fit for your loved one. Come see Cedar View Assisted Living for yourself next to Sternberg Museum. The care you need, the home you want.
What a girl wants in her home kitchen. Ease of use, flexibility, fun, the latest kitchen design, Frigidaire professional real stainless steel for fewer finger smudges, a French door refrigerator, convection cooking, a quiet dishwasher. Have the staff at Genuine Appliance in Hayes demonstrate new Frigidaire professional appliances to find what you want. Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th in Hayes. Everything a girl wants.
Storage Solutions is invested in complete customer satisfaction. You can choose a drive-up unit or a climate-controlled unit. Plus, you can choose from storage units of all sizes to fit your inventory. And that's not all. They'll sign for your packages and deliver and unload them into your unit. Storage Solutions has been named in the top 100 U-Haul dealers 6 times. Rent a pickup, cargo van, or moving truck to keep your goods on the go. Remember, making moving and storing easy is Storage Solutions in Hayes and Victoria.
Welcome back. We have let our bread rise. I probably let the baguette rise a little too long. I just wanted to keep them on one pan. But this one's been rising about 40 minutes, and I'm going to add a little more flour to it because we don't want the knife to stick when we slash it. I'm just going to use a scallop kind of shape. Oops. Ooh, this is a sharper knife than at my house. So with the baguette, we don't want more flour on it. So I'm actually going to brush it with some water, which I thought there was a basting brush here, but no, there isn't, or not today. So I'm improvising with a paper towel. I just want to brush a little bit. This is, again, just to keep our knife from sticking. And I'm going to slash it too. And about 20 minutes before this, we turned on the oven to 450, and there's a pan of water in the bottom, just with about a cup of hot water. Okay, this has been destroyed. That looks a mess. So we need the water in there to keep it nice and moist. The crust will get really crispy. At home, we use a baking stone, and we transfer this onto a baking stone, and the stone is already in the oven getting hot. And that's how you get the crispiest crust. I'm just using parchment today and a cookie sheet. It will still be wonderful, but it won't be as crusty. Well, let's give it about 20-25 minutes to cook and come back and see what it turns out to be.
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Let us shop for you. Contact Rogers & Associate to learn more.
Welcome back to Local Flavor. Our bread is done. I actually had made some last night. I sometimes can't guess the oven here, so I wanted to make sure. These are the ones I made last night. This is the, you call the dough a boule, but this is an artisan bread. I think it looks gorgeous. And this is the one we made today. We did think it looked a little too brown, so we opened it up, and it's still a nice crumb and delicious on the inside. These you want a crust on, so you don't want to store them in an airtight container. Most people recommend just put the split side down so it gets less air, but the rest of it will stay crispy. The crispy part is not the part that sells me, so I go ahead and put them in plastic. This is our French loaf from today, and it looks withered, but it actually also is still awesome on the inside. See, so that's great. Here's the one I made last night, the French loaf. And it never looks very smooth. Has a little more air in it. Anyway, you can eat these. It's best to let them cool. They're easier to cut, but if you like them warm, this knife did actually really good when it was warm. And then you can have them with butter. I like them cold with a little bit of dipping sauces. So a little olive oil, the more I can't remember the word they used about how to make sure it's fresh. I like them with a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar. That's the way they do it at Martinelli's in Salina. And then sometimes I like to put just the oil with a little bit of the seasoning that I like. And then when we used to go to Napoli's in Hayes, my friend Tara and I always put a ton of Parmesan in it too. So that was the way we liked it. But then my favorite is this. Some oil and balsamic and just dip it in. And this, I'm having the French, did I call it a French loaf? It's a baguette. Nice and chewy. This bread has a crisp crumb, a crisp crust. And they call the inside a custardy crumb. So the crumb inside is creamy and nice. Well, that one was very chewy. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I just love this book. I'd recommend reading it. It reads kind of almost like a novel anyway. It's not, but it's easy to read. And try the bread, because really, it made me unafraid to try the bread, and I really like it. I like it warm, actually, when it's fresh out of the oven. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes, and join us next time when we're on Local Flavor.